From Fox 5 News, this is Good Day New York.
United Way is one of many organizations trying to help Sandy's victims with its Hurricane Sandy Recovery Fund.
This morning, we're joined by Sheena Wright from the United Way. Nice to have you back here on Good Day New York. Just a few weeks ago, we had you because you were just named the chief.
Right.
Now as chief, what are you doing for the people in our community?
Well, my official first day was Monday, if you can believe it. And on Tuesday, we got a call from United Way worldwide asking if United Way of New York City would lead the recovery efforts for the United Way across the system. So all 12 states that have been impacted, we've been asked to lead an effort to raise funds for near-term and long-term recovery and support.
So for people who are sitting there, who have no power, have no food, who lost their possessions, who lost loved ones, what do you say when they say, where are the volunteer organizations? We're here.
Right. I think it's been very challenging because, you know, you have large organizations that are not present every day in communities and neighborhoods and don't know the ins and outs. And so the real goal right now should be to connect with the community-based organizations that are there every day. Those churches, those, you know, after-school programs, those senior service centers, they know their communities best. And that's what we do. We work with a network of nonprofits that are actually on the ground every day, and that's where people are going first. So if we can connect the dots, the bigger organizations and institutions that have the relief and the recovery tools to those smaller neighborhood-based communities, organizations, and make sure that they have what they need to serve the people they know well, that's when I think we'll get a better result.
Are the complaints well-founded?
I think so. I mean, if you have been in your home for over a week with no heat, no water, no, you know, electricity, and, you know, people don't even know what your needs are, that's a real issue and challenge. We were actually called upon by the mayor's office over the weekend. There are about 6 or 7 of the largest nonprofits here in New York City, and asked to go door knocking, door to door in the hardest hit areas. The United Way coordinated response to Coney Island. We had hundreds of volunteers going out.
This was this weekend?
This was over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and we're going to be continuing the work. And saying, what do you need? And what we were found, this is power still out. You know, that it's cold, people don't have food. That has definitely worn out. People needed food, they needed blankets, their medications were, you know, it was the end of the month, so a lot of prescriptions had expired for high blood pressure, asthma, insulin. There's some real, I mean, we're gonna have a real critical situation in the next few days if those medical needs are not being met. Helping people fill out their FEMA form. So collecting that, passing out food and water, and making sure that we know what the needs are. Let's make sure that we turn around immediately and have solutions to meet those needs.
Absolutely. What I found yesterday, just in my, you know, small little time on Staten Island, was there was no coordination.
Exactly.
I have to be honest with you.
You're right.
There were lots of volunteers out there, but nobody knew whether they checked on everybody on that block. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
There was no letter, there was no saying there was an accounting for.
Right.
And so it was a little scary. And we did see one FEMA person by Wagner High School, and I have to say he seemed overwhelmed.
I'm sure. I mean, the United Way typically works for longer-term recovery and efforts, and we are not kind of an immediate on the ground. That's more the Red Cross and the Salvation Army. But we were called in this instance to help in working with the National Guard and the Salvation Army, where our partners there on the ground in Coney Island. But we are certainly a part of the conversation to develop a better strategy to coordinate.
Where can we find you in Coney Island, by the way? Are you there today?
Yeah, we were in near the NYCHA housing projects on, and I'm not going to remember the avenues off the top of my head, but we'll get that information to you.
There are a lot of people who are writing in saying, I want to give money. I don't want to give to a big agency because I don't know where it's going. Counter that argument. A lot of people want to give a can of food to someone who needs a can of food. No middleman.
Well, that unless you're kind of carrying that can of food to that person, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge.
But I'm using that as an illustration.
Right.
A lot of people are afraid to give money to a big organization because they don't know how it's being used.
Right. Well, the funds that we're raising, 100% of the dollars raised are going to the recovery efforts. We're not charging an administrative fee. There's no, so that's a really important point. The other thing that's really important, I think, for us is that we work with organizations that are in communities every single day on the ground. They're going to be getting those needed resources to provide the services to the families that they know and that they know well. So that is, I think, very efficient and effective.
So, Sheena, are you just concentrating on Coney Island for the next few days, or will you be in other communities
We
as well?
will be in other communities across the city. The United Way of New York City works in every borough across New York.
So how can we find out where you'll be? Because there are lots of people who are writing in right now, and they're saying, please help us in Far Rockaway, please help us in Howard Beach, please help us in, in New Jersey. Where can we find you?
So we have a website, the uwsandyrecovery.org. We had a call out for volunteers. We got an amazing response. Over 3,000 people responded and registered to be volunteers. And so we'll be updating it regularly in terms of what we're able to do on the ground, and certainly as we're being asked and tasked to do from the city of New York.
Sheena Wright, thank you, the new president of the United Way of New York City.
Thank
a baptism
you.
by fire and
Yes.
water, unfortunately, but we
Absolutely.
appreciate all your efforts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, let's